Can I just say this was a really great chapter? And I usually don't say that a lot about some of these world building chapters, but they gave us a lot of info. They gave us a lot of info, and I really like how they're building back on this whole Kawaki and Amado sort of struggle, to where Amado wants Kawaki to revive his daughter, but then Kawaki has other things in mind, right? And then also on the other side of the world, we got Team 7 in the Sand Village trying to take down the Shinju, right? And doesn't really seem like their plan is going as promised. So very interesting chapter. I honestly really enjoyed it. And just kind of jumping in, I want to first talk about the whole Kawaki and Amado thing, right? Because it's very interesting what's going on here. So the way this chapter starts is the same way it kind of ended from the last chapter, where they kind of pick up with Kawaki and Amado in the room. Kawaki is pinning Amado to the wall and pretty much demanding that you amp up my powers, raise myself to the limit, so that way I can sort of defeat these Shinju, right? And Amado doesn't really want to do that. And Sumeri walks into the room, and then there's some conversation, and Kawaki loosens his grip a little bit, and Amado ends up putting Kawaki to sleep through his secret phrase. And it's very funny, the phrase is literally only babble in your sleep. So that's the code phrase. Amado kind of revealed what it was, but also Sumeri also knows the code phrase now. So I feel like we're gonna get something to where Sumeri now has access to this code phrase, and it might be used in the future, but I don't know. I don't recall if only Amado can use this phrase or if it's just anyone in general. So I guess we'll see how this sort of plays out in the future, right? I'll go back to the whole storyline with the Sand Village, but I kind of want to just focus on the Amado portion right now. So Kawaki wakes back up, him and Amado are talking and different viewpoints, and Amado is basically saying that I will modify your powers, I will make you as strong as possible and fully give you offensive capabilities, but you have to revive my daughter. And Kawaki saying basically that if Akebi turns out to be an Otsutsuki, I will kill her. And they basically go back and forth for a little bit, and it seems that Amado is really harping on Kawaki to sort of achieve this, because if Kawaki dies, then he won't be able to revive his daughter. And I'll tell you straight up, it's a whole lot of malarkey, it's a whole lot of fluff, rigmarole, whatever word you want to call it. That doesn't make any sense, okay? We already know that whatever this reviving his daughter thing is going to do is nefarious in nature. And I kind of like how they kind of hint that his daughter might turn into an Otsutsuki, so this might be like another villain we're gonna get, maybe after the Shinju are defeated. And I wonder if this like sort of villain is not even in Kashin Koji's foresight, because there is possibly a world to where we didn't even get this far, right? So very interesting how we're gonna see that sort of evolve. But pretty much the conversation ends. Kawaki's like, I'm not doing it because there's no way I'm gonna revive your daughter, but I'm still gonna be a little bit weaker, right? It doesn't work out for me, it only works out for you, right? So he's like, either raise my power now and I need to kill pretty much Boruto, Code, and all the Shinju, and then you could have your daughter revive. So not how Amado planned the conversation to go, and they kind of don't come to an agreement. So seems like this sort of Amado's daughter plot line is going to be delayed just a little bit further. Focusing now on the Team 7 aspect, there is a conversation between Ryu and Yodo, and he's kind of giving this weird energy from her, kind of questions her a little bit, and sort of keep that in mind, right? And then going back to Matsuri and Konohamaru are talking, and Matsuri starts calling Konohamaru-chan, right? He's like, okay, no one else calls me Konohamaru-chan but Moegi, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one else calls me that. And he starts feeling a little weird, right? It makes him feel a little weird inside. It's like if someone calls you by your childhood nickname, and you're like, okay, only that guy calls me that, or only that person calls me that, So it's very weird in that aspect. But Ryu does this really interesting thing to where he sort of spreads Iron Sand around. And I don't know how Team 7 didn't catch this play, because if you watch Naruto, if you've been around Gaara enough, then you should know this. But I guess with these new jacks, they don't really know about how these sand jutsu sort of do things. And what I mean by that is because he's sort of placing the sand around in different places and sort of wrapping it around the different shinobi, and they're kind of letting their guard down, right? It's like, how do you not see that he's about to screw you over pretty much? And he kind of says, I'm just doing this detection ability, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll kind of go along with it. He feels like a sort of bloodlust around Yodo, and he's kind of takes that into account, right? Saying her bloodlust is off the charts, but she's like, no, I'm always like this because we're ninja. And I'll be honest, this is a really bad scene for the, Leaf and Sand Village ninjas, because it's like he already knows what's going on. He's not as stupid as he may think he's coming off across, and they kind of confirmed that as well. But going back to Matsuri here, Matsuri starts to get upset because Konohamaru is basically saying, you can't call me that. Stop calling me that. Only one person calls me that, right? And Matsuri starts getting angry because you're not talking about Moegi, right? So, what's going on? She starts getting upset, and she's like, what is that woman to you exactly? So seems to be, I don't know, a little bit of almost jealousy from Matsuri, and it seems like we're gonna get a Matsuri and Konohamaru fight pretty soon. But moving back over to Ryu, we see that Ryu is actually able to remove his thorn bulb and basically places out in the middle of the field so they can kind of lure out Boruto, which is the plan. So this is obvious bait, right? So Yodo takes the bait, tries to jump towards the thorn bulb, and gets caught. I mean, Ninja 101, this was a clear layup from Ryu. Saw this coming 1,000 miles away, but it's okay. It's for the plot, right? And he catches her, and then everyone else is not able to be moved because of the sand, right? And the sand is sort of controlling them. And what happens is we get a scene to where we see Araya, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but he has a jutsu to where he can basically seal sand in his blade. So very great chapter. I really did enjoy some of this world building with Kawaki and Amado's daughter. I do think that is going to be one of the final villains, and is going to be something that Boruto and Kawaki may need to join forces to take down. And I also want to say that the Shinju scenes have been kind of interesting, and it's funny how their plan didn't go out the way they wanted it to. I do think that Konohamaru versus Matsuri is going to be an interesting fight. I don't know if Konohamaru can even handle a Shinju on his own, but I guess we'll see in the next chapter, right? But overall, very good chapter. Now we're going to kind of lean into some fight scenes, right? They've done enough character development over the past couple chapters, so now we're going to see some hands. So anyway, hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know your thoughts about Boruto TBV Vortex chapter 18, and make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.